The following is a special presentation of the Sports Journey Network. Sports Journey.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the breakdown, and I'm your host, Dujunnea Bland. And today, we're going to talk about the NHRA and the first quarter of this regular season. And let me tell you, it's been fun to watch. Lots of controversy and personality, and we'll talk about it right here, right now. The Las Vegas four-wide Nationals didn't disappoint. Very good racing. I know a lot of people don't like the four wide, and that's okay. It's not for everyone. That's all right. Doesn't have to be for everyone. But it's a fun little thing that we get to see twice a year. I do wish it wasn't back to back, but it is what it is. So we'll get to see it again in 2 weeks or next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend, we'll get to see it in Charlotte for the full wide. But your winners, Antron Brown in Top Fuel, Matt Hagan in Funny Car, and Dallas Glenn in Pro Stock. Dallas going back to back. He's had a great start to the season, as a lot have. And with that said, I'm going to get into the first installment of this first quarter's Island of Relevancy. Yes, it is the first quarter's Island of Relevancy, and I will start in Top Fuel, and that has to go to Justin Ashley. Justin Ashley, 8-2 in this first quarter of the regular season. He was 10-5 in his last 6 races last year. Tallying that up with the first 4 races of this year, you're talking about an 18-7 round win-loss record. He has 2 wins this season, and the car has looked really good. He's looked really good. Now, as tough as it is, he lost first round in that Vegas four-wide. Very difficult thing. It's weird. The staging's weird. You got to look here and look there for the trees. The track was very tricky. Although, if you hit it, you'd make a good run. But it definitely tripped some people up in Vegas. But he's off to a good start. And he is my first and number one first person on the Island of Relevancy. Next, he has to be number one, right? He's the number one spot in the Island of Relevancy. That is Matt Hagan. Matt Hagan has 3 wins this season, and he has a 12-1 round win-loss record. Matt, in his last 6 races of last season, in 2022, he was 13-5, giving him a round total of 25-6 round win-loss record. That's pretty darn consistent. I mean, I don't even know if there's anybody else more consistent right now than Matt Hagan. It just seems to be coming to him so well. The car's running great. He's driving the wheels off the thing. He seems to be so happy and very comfortable. Made that statement last year as well. He just seems so relaxed, yet still very confident and a killer on the start line. You know, last season, in those last 6 races of the season, Matt Hagan had 1 win and 1 runner-up in those last 6. pretty interesting. But the round win-loss record is just amazing. Just really says how consistent this car has been, dating back to last year. My next guy on the Island of Relevancy is Dallas Glenn. Dallas Glenn has 2 wins. He went back-to-back. He has 1 semifinal appearance. He's a 9-2 win-loss record. And he's definitely doing better than he did last year. He was 1 round win over 500 in the last 6 races of the season. That doesn't win you a championship. But he's off to an excellent start right now. And the car's running good, and 00 Dallas is doing what he does. It's going to be interesting to see how things roll into the second quarter of the season. But right now, he's 1 of 5 on the Island of Relevancy. My next person on the Island of Relevancy is Mike Salinas. Mike Salinas has 1 win. He has a 7-3 round win-loss record. He actually has a better record right now than he did in the last 6 races of the regular season or the playoffs last season in 2022. He was 7-6 in the last 6 races. Total 19-9. Oh no, that's not his record. He's like 14-9. But he's 7-3. He's really looked good. The last couple of races, though, not so much. Didn't look as dominant as they did, especially at Gainesville, where they pretty much were calling their own shots. Right? They were pretty much calling their own numbers, and boom, they were running them like it was just something super easy to do. I do like their chances, and I do like what they've been doing, but other cars are stepping up. You got other guys who can drive and have been solid in some of these races here down the stretch, but Mike's been looking good. He got clipped in Pomona by Antron, who was your event winner here in Las Vegas, and he lost a heart in Torrance in that 4 wide, really 3, in that second round. He has 2 second round losses, really 3 if you count the Vegas 4 wide. So a little bit of a slip since Gainesville, but still one of a few cars that are posting a win and a really high round win-loss record. My last but not least person on the Island of Relevancy is Troy Coughlin. My man is 7-3. Dating back to last season, in those last 6 races, he was 12-6. He's 19-9 total, adding the last 6 races, those playoffs of 2022. He has 1 win and 1 runner-up. Pro stock has been tough. You got the Quadra boys. You've got Dallas. Greg's been in there. Camry Caruso's been in there. It's been a weird one. And then you have Matt Hartford just coming out of nowhere and really becoming a problem for the rest of the field. It's going to be interesting how this thing rolls out in the second quarter, right? I mean, there's a lot of good cars right now. And, you look at Kyle Koretsky, 3-4, hadn't hit his stride yet. Derek Kramer hadn't hit his stride yet. Chris McGahey hadn't hit his stride yet. Mason hadn't hit his stride yet. Aaron Stanfield, 4-4 round win-loss record, hadn't hit his stride yet. There's a lot of good cars from top to bottom, 1-16. Any one of them can win a race. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Dallas and Troy carry this thing into the second quarter of the regular season and see if they can keep up those round wins and also those event wins. That's what's important. Staying at the top of that ladder going into the playoffs. Now, I have to talk about my struggle bus. The first person on the struggle bus is Erica Enders. Now, they're not struggling for a lack of trying. Me personally, I think they're trying something new. Because we all know, whether it's football or drag racing, if you're standing still doing the same things you've been doing, you eventually get caught. And then, when you get caught, you're playing catch up because you're already behind. The other teams have been working to make adjustments, to try and put new wrinkles in and try new things. If you don't do that, it's really hard to stay above or on top of the entire field. So I don't think she's struggling for a lack of trying. I think they're trying some new things. She's 2-4 in this first quarter of the regular season. She was 8-2 in the first quarter of 2022. Big change. But like I said, I think there's some big changes with the car. And they're still trying to find their way with the horsepower. I don't doubt that they'll find it. We'll see if they begin to find it in this second quarter. My next person on the struggle bus is Clay Millican. Now, last season, Clay was only like one win over 500. 5-4 round win-loss record. He's 0-for. That's 4 first-round bye-byes. Personally, I don't think it's the car. I don't even think it's the driver. And I know he'll put one of those losses on him, as he was late. But I don't think his crew chief is helping him out. Can't be blowing stuff all the time. I mean, you can't be blowing stuff up all the time, man. They got too many parts, too much money. I mean, Rick Ware's giving him the best of everything that he could wish for. And they have to put it all together. But his crew chief has got to give him something to work with. Because most of it has been on him. I hate to say it, but you got to call it how you see it. And that's just the facts. And there's really no reason for it. I can see it when they didn't have the budget that they have now. But there's no excuse. That car is a contender. It definitely is a contender. They've shown it. But they're going to have to put it together. They're going to have to find a way. Jimmo's going to have to dig deep. But blowing stuff up, you're going to have to change that. Big time. Next person on the struggle bus is Cruz Pedregon. He's 2-4 in the first quarter of the regular season. But if you're not aware, they definitely have the horsepower. That ain't the problem. This thing is like, when Hulk turns green. Yeah, it's mean. Too mean. They're trying to rein it back. And it just wants to do what it wants to do and run angry. So they've struggled with finding that line. There's no doubt. I think we saw that, and I said that, I believe that was in Gainesville, where we saw John Force run that big number, and Cruz clipped the wall a little bit after the finish line, and he had to lift in the process, but he really could have ran a 380 on that one. And they've shown that they can run solid numbers. The car's running great. Just not getting to the next round. I mean, they were number one qualifier in Vegas. So, they have it. Just got to put it all together on race day, and they'll have a chance to rectify that 2-4 round win-loss record in the second quarter of the regular season starts in Charlotte at that 4 wide. Last but not least on the struggle bus is Josh Hart. This is the second season that they've had a slow start. This season, 2-4 round win-loss record. Last season, 3-4 round win-loss record. But what we have seen from this team is that even though they have a slow start, they begin to pick it up as we get further and further into the regular season. I mean, with the playoffs, you just have to be in the game, right? And you kind of want to be somewhere in the middle of the pack, if that's where you have to be. You definitely don't want to be at the bottom. You don't want to be at 10. But you want to be somewhere in the middle of that pack, 5, 6, where you have a shot. Now, these points that are going towards the championship or to count down to the championship with this too fast, too tasty deal, it's going to be interesting how this all rolls out and who can still be in the middle of the pack despite having these extra points given towards the countdown. It'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. And, NHRA is shaking things up a little bit. And you got to love it. So, like I said, I'm not in full agreement with the points going to the championship. But, hey, let's just see how it works out, right? We got something new. And it is. It's pretty tasty. Look. With this race in Vegas, it was fantastic. And I appreciate the personalities that we've had. People speaking their mind. I don't want anybody to get anything twisted about what I say and how passionate I am about certain things when it comes to drivers, the NHRA, etc. I love the personalities. But when you disagree, and that's fine, especially as media, I'm going to say something about it. I'm not afraid to say anything about it. And I just think that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter really how slow someone does something. And I understand the parameters here. So don't go there with I don't understand. I understand the parameters. I understand that if I let my opponent sit for a longer time and he burns down a little bit and there's a little bit less fuel, that throws off and could throw off the whole entire tune-up. I get it. Somebody's putting more heat in the clutch. I get it. But everybody has 7 seconds. And when he sticks his nose in there, he has 7 seconds to turn that next bulb on, especially after his opponent has already turned that second bulb on. It is what it is. And other drivers have to work around it. I'm going to tell you, and I've said it plenty of times, if I'm out there and it's in the rule book and I'm going against a guy like Sean Langdon, who's nasty, he's absolute killer on the tree, I know I don't have anything for that. I'm going to double bulb you. Might not do it all the time. But if I think I have an opportunity to win, I'm going to double bulb you. I'm going to throw you off. Therefore, you might use a strategy to come in a little slower. It's all sportsmanship, gamesmanship. These cars are separated by very small margins. So go out there and do what you do. Other people may not like it, though. And they may say something about it, just as Sean Langdon did. I also will give Sean credit for owning the fact that he made a mistake. How many guys do that? I mean, he owned it. He flat out owned it. And he owned it on Brian Lone's podcast as well. Check that out. I thought it was a great interview. And you get the perspective of where they're coming from. But where I'm coming from is, I get it, but just do your job. Because at the end of the day, all of this stuff we're talking about is within the rule book. I mean, this ain't golf. Ain't no gentleman's agreement. I know people talk about that, but I this is drag racing, man. Like, I don't see no gentleman agreements in grudge racing. I don't see any gentleman agreements in any other forms of drag racing. These unspoken rules are just funny to me. Go out, do what you do, and go through the routine the way you know how to go through the routine. And if you get shook, sometimes that happens. But it's just like a free throw shooter. Every guy has his routine that's going to help him have an opportunity to cut the best light possible to give himself the best chance to win. And that's what's important. Finally, though, I know people have been saying there's some rumors, but the fact of the matter is, Bandimere Speedway has been sold. This will be the last NHRA Mile High Nationals that we will see. Unless there's some kind of delay, like Phoenix had a delay. I trust my sources. And this thing is a done deal. It's sad. It's one of the top 3 tracks ever, in my opinion. It's unique because of the elevation, the way the stands are built. I mean, the history. It's just an iconic racetrack, and it's sad to see these tracks be sold for businesses, interstates, or homes. I guess this is the nature of where we are. One thing's for certain, those aren't the only tracks, and I'm sure the NHRA will do its utmost to find new ones. I'm really hoping they come here to South Georgia Motorsports Park. I know they need stands. They need stands on that right side of the track. But I love that track. Beautiful track. Great area here in the Valdosta, Cecil area. We have the hotels to support. And we're not that close, not that far from Gainesville. People would come in droves from Florida or wherever else. Drag racing fans travel. So if it was here, they'd have one. I also would like to see Rockingham. They've redone that place, put some money into it. I'm not sure what the shutdown situations look like, but that looks to be a very beautiful track as they've redone it. I'd love to see NHRA go there and have an event. But it is sad. And hopefully we don't have to keep experiencing this. You know? But I guess this is the nature of the beast, the nature of our world today. Money talks. And if someone's going to put something, a business, homes next to your track, it's tough because you have ordinances, you have all these other things that come into play when development happens. So let's just hope that this is the last of the tracks that end up being sold and us no longer going to. That's about all I can say. With that said, we're going to close this show by giving you your standings. We're going to start in Top Fuel, and in Top Fuel, you have Steve Torrance leading the way with 323 points. Justin Ashley's right behind him at 13 behind. 310. Followed by Brittany Force, 287. Antron Brown, 274 in fourth. Fifth, Mike Salinas, 274. They're both tied. Sixth, Leah Pruitt, 252. 7, Austin Prock, 233. Sean Langdon, 230. Doug, 199. Josh Hart, 171. How about Rob Passy getting Doug again? I mean, man has his number in the last couple of years. All right? It's just weird. It's very weird. In Funny Car, we have Matt Hagan leading the way. Them 3 wins in that first quarter of the season. 394. He's 105 points ahead of Ron Capps. I don't expect Ron Capps to... I think he'll tighten it up here soon. Ron is in second at 289. Alexis DeJoria, 278, third. Chad Green, 252 in fourth. How about that guy? He would have been on the Island of Relevancy if he had some wins, but he can be an honorable mention Island of Relevancy guy, right? I mean, the things that they have done, the way they've showed up in the first quarter of this regular season is absolutely amazing. Gives hope to other guys, right? Even Terry Haddock, he went a couple rounds too, right? I think it was like to the semis. It's cool to see. Robert Hite, 5th. Followed by Bob Tasca, 6th. Tim Wilkerson, 7th. John Force, 8th. Cruz Pedregon, 9th. And Blake Alexander, 10th. J.R. Todd is outside looking in. That won't last. They're just in a little bit of a funk right now. In Pro Stock, Dallas Glenn, man. Bag to bag. He's up there with 360. And Troy Coughlin Jr. is second, 309. He's 51 points back. Matt Hartford, 295. Camry Caruso in fourth, 263. And Aaron Stanfield rounds out your top 5 at 231. Followed by Bo Butner in 6th. Greg Anderson in 7th. Christian Quadra in 8th. Kyle Koretsky in 9th. And Mason McGahey in 10th. You know who's on the outside? Derek Kramer, 11th. Erica Enders, 12th. Fernando Quadra, 13th. Chris McGahey, 15th. There's some good cars on the outside. Fernando Quadra Sr., 17th. This Pro Stock field and this Pro Stock class is tough. It's going to be fun to watch this season. I don't know why you fans get up after the fuel cars or are not there before the fuel cars come out. I mean, I get it. You're nitro junkies. But, dude, this class is fantastic. And it shows. Just look at the names on the outside. Some great cars out there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is all for this show. We thank you so much for listening to this show. Without you, we are nothing. And we will be back to talk to you next week as we kind of preview what's going on here with this 4-Wide Nationals in Charlotte. It's going to be another fun one. Will it have more controversy? Will we have more drivers speaking out, complaining, and getting on people because they're being slow and throwing them off? Whew. I hope so. We actually got some personality here right now in the first quarter of the regular season. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a great afternoon, evening, or night whenever you're listening to this. And you've been listening to a Sports Journey powered production. This has been The Breakdown.